Hi guys, this is the second of two videos on assembling the Automoblox vehicle. The last one I showed you a lot about work planes and how work planes are so convenient, and those are great for anything that's like rectangular or whatever, blocky shaped. You got some surfaces you want to line up, that's all fantastic. But what about circular objects? A lot of kids will want to start off and they'll try to mate together the axle and the front piece here, this T9 front, and that's not a great way to do it. In fact, anytime you're using circular objects like axles or wheels or tires, really you want to use the insert constraint instead. And let me show you how easy this is, okay? So I click on constraints and I have a bunch of different types of constraints up here, and I'm going to choose the insert constraint, okay? And what I do then, 2 clicks is all it takes, okay? Let me zoom in a little bit. The first click is how far do I want to insert the axle. And by the way, notice the cutout piece goes on the outside. Okay, this is the part that actually inserts into the wooden block. So I'm going to choose on this side, I want to insert this far, right? The inside of this bigger ring here. I'm going to click, and then it says what hole do you want to insert it into, and I want to insert it into this thing. And that's it. By the way, if it ever is backwards, again, like the mate and flush thing we did with the work planes, if you ever, look, that obviously is not right, okay? So if you ever choose and it just doesn't look correct, like it's been flipped around backwards, choose the other option. Go that way, right? So I click apply. Let me get out of the menu to show you what's going on. So this thing is inserted in there, but it will, oh, hold on a second. Right click, let me ground the front piece so it doesn't move anymore. Okay, so notice then, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Hold on. Let's get rid of this. Sorry guys. Of course I'm going to make a mistake in the video here. Get the axle, let's get rid of that insert constraint just for a second, okay? Let's pull the sucker back out. Okay, so now, while it's not connected, let's go through and let's ground this. And basically what that means is now this piece can't move, okay? I didn't want that to move. So back again, insert constraint, inner ring, put it in that hole, boom, apply, okay? So now what's going on is this thing is allowed to turn, right? I'm not sure I really like that, to be perfectly honest. I want it locked into place. So the easiest thing to do then, okay, how do I lock this thing into place? I'm going to use what's called an angle constraint. So I'm going to come over here, I'm going to constrain, well actually first I need to do something else, okay? Let's go back and let's expand the origin menu for the axle. And I'm going to go find one of these planes, like this one, that cuts the thing right through in the middle, okay? I'm going to make this thing visible. And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to take then and lock this work plane in and make it at an angle locked in to like maybe the bottom of this thing, okay, bottom of the front piece. So I'm going to go through in an angle constraint. I'm going to use this option right here, a directed angle of 0 degrees between, and that means basically I'm going to lock it in so these things can't rotate relative to each other. This work plane right here, and then let me go to the bottom and this right here, and the flat surface that's on the bottom, right? And notice what happens is it locks it in at 0 degree angle, it says, between the two work planes. Okay? Does that make sense? So they're flat relative to each other. If I don't like that, by the way, I can come over here. And before I go any farther, you know, maybe if I want that thing up and down because that's the way that it looks on my actual Automoblox where the cutout is up and down, I can just type in a 90 degree angle between them, right? If I wanted to go the other way, by the way, I could just put in a negative 90, right, and it flips it the other direction. So it doesn't really matter. All it was doing is rotating 180 degrees there. I'm going to click apply. It's good. Okay. I don't need that work plane anymore, so I can come back and I can right click. Actually, what you're going to do, I take that back, leave it, because all 4 of your axles now have that work plane on it. That's pretty convenient. Okay. Now, back to this. Ready? How do I do the wheel and the tire? Again, I know it's not like an axle where it's going to go into a hole, but what it is a circular object. So let's use the insert constraint, and let's say here then that like this thing right here, we want to stick this surface and insert it as far as we can into the wheel, which I got to flip this around a little bit. Boy, that stinks, doesn't it? Okay, let me click this. Let me pull this out of the way. Let's pull this out of the way where it's not in the way. Let's redo that. Ready? Constrain. Insert constraint for circular objects. That's how far I want to stick the axle in. And I want to go into right there. Apply. Let me get out of the menu real quick so you can see what's going on. And now this is inserted all the way, and even better, the wheel moves, but the axle doesn't. If you're wondering whether that's in all the way, just look at it from the front view. Okay, you can see that that little thick piece is in between the two, right? By the way, see this here, how this front is curved right there? That wooden surface is curved. That's why the mate constraint was not going to work for you. You were going to have all kinds of problems if you tried to do the mate constraint. Let's do it one more time, okay? Maybe by now you probably already stopped watching and started working, but that's okay. Okay, we're going to insert the wheel into the tire. I want to go all the way to the back edge. I want to go all the way through, right? So that wheel is completely covered. And I want to go, and it doesn't really matter which side I choose here. Let's go look at this, like right there. Okay, let's choose that. Ooh, that doesn't look right at all. Well, here I come up here and I make sure that they're aligned instead, and look at that. Now everything is flush. Click OK to get out of this, and now the tire moves, the wheel moves without the tire. They're not locked together, right? So the easiest thing to do here, you probably already guessed it, let's go put some work planes on. Not that one. This would be a good one. Let's check that and make it visible. And then let's come down to the tire and let's do the same thing. Uh-oh, I can't get to it because my recording menu. Okay, make another work plane on this guy here. Okay. Shoot, how do I do that? Sorry about that. I couldn't get to this because I had a little menu that's up for the recording thing that I'm using. Okay, see this work plane right there? It cuts right through the middle of the tire, right? So I'm going to right click, I'm going to make it visible. Okay, now what I'm going to go do is I'm going to constrain these with an angle, right? An angle. I'm going to lock together the two work planes. So let me zoom in a little bit so make it easier to choose. There's one of them, right? This angle, 0 degree. Oh, I chose the wrong option. There we go. This one, okay? 0 degrees between these two work planes. I click OK. Now what's happened is when one of these moves, the other work plane has to move with it. And now I have a fully functioning tire on my Automoblox. So hopefully that helps out. 7-minute video. I apologize about that. That got pretty long, but that's the easiest way to do the tires and the wheels, and you're going to fly through this. When you go to do them, you're going to be done in like 30 seconds. So hopefully that helps. That should get you between the work planes and all those things that I showed you in the last video, and then the insert and angle constraints for this. You should be able to do the Automoblox in like, I don't know, a couple hours. Good luck.